Okay, couple of practice problems that go along with this, asking the question, are these statements true or false? So if it's false, you have to take a counter example, meaning an example that proves that it's not true. So for example, integers are closed under multiplication. Well, if we look at our notes, integers are supposed to be closed under addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And so if you just think about it, if I take two integers, any two integers, and I multiply them together, I am always going to get an integer as my answer. So that is a true statement. Alright, then we have natural numbers. Are they closed under subtraction? So up here, natural numbers are closed under addition and multiplication. So that is false. So we need to come up with an example that would not be true. So for example, if I took 7 and 9 and I subtract 7 minus 9, both 7 and 9 are natural numbers, but if I subtract them, I get -2. And -2 is not a natural number, it's an integer. So that would be an example of a counter example. You could choose a lot of different answers there, so if you had any other examples, you're welcome to do those and let me know, and I'll be happy to look at them and make sure that they are a true counter example. Then we have even numbers are closed under addition. So we didn't really talk about even numbers as far as that goes. We kind of discussed them just as an example of multiplication, but what about addition? If I take two even numbers and I add them together, am I always going to get an even number? 2 and 4 gives me 6, 4 and 8 gives me 12. I mean, you always have that even number. There's nothing there to make that odd, so this is going to be a true statement. Okay, then we have the question, irrational numbers are closed under division. So if you look at your answer key, it says, or your notes above it, it says that the irrational numbers are closed under none of the operations. Okay, so this is a false statement. And so for example, let's do two irrational numbers. Let's say pi divided by pi. Well, if I divide pi by pi, I get 1. 1 is not an irrational number. 1 is a natural number. So that doesn't work either. And so you can have a lot of different examples here, but just give one good counter example of that. Okay, then we have perfect squares are closed under subtraction. So again, we didn't really talk about perfect squares, but let's think about that. If I subtract two perfect squares, am I always going to get a perfect square? So let's try 9 and 4. So 9 is a perfect square, and I subtract 4 from that, I get 5. 5 is not a perfect square. So this is not true. It is not closed under subtraction. Alright, then we look at real numbers. Again, real numbers are closed under addition. Well, according to our notes, real numbers are closed under all operations. So that is a true statement as well. Okay, so that's kind of just some basics about closure statement and what, how to use those and apply those in our thinking.